You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Icon Cup Series on Sim Racing Media. Sunday night action at the Charlotte Roval for the Roval 150. We are waist deep into the playoffs here with Icon. Drivers are wrapping up their qualifying laps here at the Roval. And while we're here, we're going to take a look at the schedule. Like I said, we're in the middle of the round of 8. Kansas last week, Roval this week, then Las Vegas next week. Last week, Icon headed to Kansas to open the round of 8 and saw a surprise strategy lead to a surprise podium. Pole sitter Brian Smith dominated the race, setting the fastest lap and leading 110 of the 160 laps. But a conservative pit strategy left him vulnerable both in Stage 2 and in the race finish. Ryan Patty perfectly split Stage 2 to gain a 6-second lead over Smith and snagged the stage win. Then in the final stint, Patty opted to just follow behind Smith's pit strategy as he was within a second of the would-be leader, but a handful of drivers decided to stretch their fuel window in the final stint, and Patrick Colby, who started 13th and entered the race below the playoff cut line, he last pitted on lap 116 of 160, gambled on the final green flag run, pressing in the clutch and coasting for the majority of those final laps. Colby stretched his fuel window from 37 to 44 and took the race win, made himself the first driver guaranteed into the round of 4, and then Adam Ball followed suit with the same strategy and finished second. So those drivers improved their standing here, but this is going to be a whole other animal as we get into the Charlotte Roval. As usual, I am Shane Cochran up in the booth. This week with me is going to be Chris Murphy. Chris, how you doing?
Excellent tonight, Shane. How you doing? Happy to be here with Icon Series. Been catching all your broadcasts on Sunday nights. Great to be a part of it.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one. As we said, we're kind of in the middle, not a cutoff race, but right in the middle of that round of 8. Drivers can guarantee their way into the round of 4 from here. And we've got a couple road course ringers that are probably considering themselves as favorites. I think both Brian Smith and Nathan Finnegan have picked up numerous wins on the road courses earlier this season. They're going to be looking to get it done here. As we have about a minute left in qualifying, we will figure out who is going to be leading the field back to green. Now, while we wait, we're going to take a look at the point standings. Patrick Colby picking up that win last week. He's the only one guaranteed into the next round. Then as it stands now, it's Brian Smith in second with a huge point lead over the cutoff, 79 points. Then Ryan Patty with 24 over the cut line. Braxton DeWeese in fourth place, just 6 points above the cut line. And Jacob Smith, 6 points below. So those are going to be 2 drivers who we're going to keep an eye on all night long. Then Cody Neal, Chuck Van Schaik, and Kyle Purcell. They're all below the cut line coming into this one, but not out of reach, especially if they can get stage points and have a solid finish. They can be right up with Ryan and Braxton for sure by the end of this one, heading into next week's race at Las Vegas. Another exciting track that can kind of go any way for anybody. And it looks like
fifth road course race here for Icon. Brian Smith picking up 3 of the wins earlier this season. Nathan Finnegan with 1. And it looks like Finnegan is going to get the pole here tonight. So there's your 2 road course ringers right there.
That should be a great race from both of those guys.
Yeah, Jacob's just kind of sandwiched in the middle of them. They're going to start outside the front row, it looks like, in that second spot.
But a lot of drivers opting out of this Roval road course race. Not our usual field, but it looks like we will have 15 drivers starting the race tonight. So I think that's really going to open up pit strategy, as dropping to the back of the lead lap, not going to cost you 40 positions, might only cost you 15. That, I think that gives you permission to be a little more aggressive with how you want to handle it. And we wait for the rest of the drivers to get onto the field. It is going to be Nathan Finnegan and Jacob Smith on the front row, the 6 and the 4. And we'll go ahead and take a look at our race analysis. It's going to be 65 laps total, 15 laps in stage 1, 15 laps in stage 2. And something about that math is not working out there.
I don't think it's mathing out there.
Yeah, so apologies there, but it is going to be 65 laps is correct. 15 and 15 are correct. I don't know why that final stage is not mathing its way out. But as the pace car gets going, we're going to make a run through our grid here. It is on row 1, going to be Nathan Finnegan and Jacob Smith leading the way. Then on row 2, Brian Smith and Ryan Patty. Cody Neal and Braxton DeWeese going to be starting on row 3. Nathan Brzezowski and Chuck Van Schaik on row 4. Then Kyle Purcell, Justin Bissonette on row 5, rounding out your top 10. Then Sean Purcell and Patrick Colby, last week's winner, in row 6. Jacob Gladelich and Cody Eldred on row 7. Robert Bloon and Hanover Fist in row 8. And that's going to wrap up our 16-car field. This is an opportunity for a lot of cars. You know, the Roval is a really interesting track in that it's highly technical, but it gives you a lot of opportunities to beat and bang, to throw your elbows out and take a position by force if you want to. Just know that that driver is going to be coming back to your bumper as you hit the next chicane or the next turn. So I think we'll see some excitement here tonight.
I had a chance to get out and run a few laps earlier, and wow, I'm glad I'm sitting here not on the racetrack. But You know, you get down in that that infield complex section, and it is very technical. And then you get up on the banks, up on the high banks of the NASCAR part of the racetrack, and you are just flat out. So, you know, a little bit of a mix here. You know, a lot of times you see the really talented road course guys come to the front here, but you can also see if you can get up on this banking and get some slipstream from somebody, also get a little help. I think we're gonna see most of our passing into the chicanes, and just whoever can get through that complex area and not make any mistakes is gonna be the one that stays out in front of this race.
Yeah, I mean, the infield gives you a chance to get into a rhythm. You kind of hit a left, hit a right, hit a left, hit a right, and then you get up on the banks and you've got this 20-second, you know, you're just mashing the throttle, driving straight, and then you've got to perfectly time your brake line into that chicane. Both, whether it's the backstretch or the front stretch, is kind of the same situation. And especially if you're trying to complete a pass, you're kind of just playing a game of chicken with the other driver of who's going to brake latest and take that position away. So look for most of our passes, most of our incidents to be on the entry to both the front and backstretch chicane. And as that pace truck hits pit road, again, it's Nathan Finnegan and Jacob Smith going to lead us to green. Finnegan in the preferred line there on the inside as they come around the final chicane, take the green flag and head towards turn one. But Jacob Smith gets a great run on the outside.
He is going to cut off Nathan Finnegan into turn number 1, 2. Nathan Finnegan loose in front of Brian Smith.
Disaster here. As Finnegan gets turned, Ryan Patty caught up in it, Brian Smith involved, and that's a full course yellow here at the Roval, a rarity.
It looked like Finnegan just got a little bit loose right there, and unfortunately Patty was making a charge, making his way past Brian Smith, got into the back of Finnegan right there and finished him off. We'll take a look at it here.
Yeah, so they get it. The green flag comes out, and the 4 gets a great jump. No penalty, though, as I think the actual kind of moment of restart was back in the chicane. And
yeah,
at
that
that
outside
point,
row got a good jump. O'Neill did it, or the 30 car also got a good jump over Patty, as he got a hit of Brian Smith as well heading into 1.
And then right here, Finnegan. Yeah, you're
caught
right.
that curb and got loose. Yep, tried to save it.
And just head on into the wall right ahead of Patty. Nowhere for the 30 to go. Then Brian Smith. Nowhere for him to go. He goes around. Patty and Smith picking up the hardest contact there. And then every other driver just threading the needle, trying to make it through. And it does look like the 6, 30, and 78 are going to be the cars that pick up the heaviest damage.
I think I might have heard on the radio the 6 car might be done. We'll see how this plays out here, but yeah, it looks like he just caught that curb, got loose, tried to save it, but there's just not much room right there through turns 1 and, you know, heading up into turn 2 up that little hill right there. And unfortunately, they just blocked the road and it just everybody piled in there.
Yeah, we're going to watch it one more time at full speed. As Nathan Finnegan's car just starts hopping. He gets hard into the wall. Collects a handful of other drivers.
Yeah, I can't really lay any blame on Patty right there from what I can see. You know, Finnegan gets a little bit loose. He's checking up. Patty's charging, trying to get up there alongside as well. And unfortunately, just a wrong place at the wrong time. And a couple of drivers, same thing as well. So our two of our road course specialists with Finnegan and Brian Smith both caught in that incident.
Yeah, and both Smith and Patty are kind of front runners here in our point standings. Not what they were looking for. We'll take another look at that. So Brian Smith came in 79 points to the good. Ryan Patty 24 points to the good at the beginning of this race. And they've already had an issue. So if I'm Braxton Deweese, Jacob Smith, Cody Neal, or Chuck Van Schaik, or even Kyle Purcell, this is an opportunity now as both of those drivers had a little bit of an issue early on in the race.
Yes, you know, take advantage of situations wherever you can. You know, you look at you know, Brzezowski started back there in 7th, already up to 4th. Kyle Purcell was in 9th, already at 4 spots. So take advantage of, you know, getting through that incident unscathed. You know, and it's all going to be about staying up towards the front of this race, not making any mistakes. Like we talked earlier, 15 laps for a stage is a pretty short run. You just got to make those couple stages, stay up towards the front, and just be there when we start that last section, that last third stage of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure my money was on turn 1 of lap 1 to have our incident. I assumed the first lap would be dicey, but that was fast. Finnegan still on track. I do want to note that Balloon, Fist, and Gladelich are all out. They did not actually start the race.
13.
So 13 cars are who we're racing with here tonight.
Yeah, just an uncharacteristic mistake right there from Finnegan. Like I said, I went out and ran some laps earlier, and it is just tricky on these cars, getting in these tight little corners, especially into turn 1 right there where you're coming down the front straightaway up on the banking through the tri-oval area and trying to get woed up enough in there. And you get down on that curb, and there's just not a lot of... We're going to see that all day long here, especially through the chicanes. I watched a practice earlier as well. A lot of drivers struggling through that last chicane as well. If you hit that curb coming off of turn 15, it really upsets the car. So it's just a matter of staying on the racetrack, taking the shortest line, but just staying away from those tall curves because it will upset these cars.
Yeah, if you're kind of looking at the details here, there's a red and white curb, and then there's a blue curb a little further in. They call those the turtles because they kind of resemble a turtle shell, and you want to get on the red and white. That's the fastest way, the shortest way around the corner, but you do not want to get on the blue curbs, with the exception of a few places here. And when you do, you need to have your wheel perfectly straight. You don't want to be doing any turning or cornering when you hop over those, but there are a couple places like on the backstretch chicane where hopping over the turtles is the fastest way around, but you've got to be kind of already pointing your car in the direction you want to go on the exit of the turn.
Yeah, we see Finnegan, Brian Smith, and Ryan Patty, all three involved in that incident, all in the pits now that pit road looked like it finally opened up for him. Yeah, that's a really good point there, Shane. I mean, you know, was there an old YouTube, a viral YouTube video? It was like turtle, something like that. I'm not sure, but those turtle curves will throw the car around for sure.
I think that was the... Let's see.
Oh, I like turtles. That's what it was.
I'm gonna reach all the way back. Well, there's two, right? There's the boy in his Halloween costume that says "I like turtles" during a TV interview. I think there's also a movie by, I believe it was Dana Carvey, called "The Master of Disguise," where he once dressed up as a turtle and said "I am," or said "turtle," and that. So we've got all kinds of
turtle references,
decades old turtle references here.
If you had turtle reference on your bingo card tonight, make sure you take your dauber out and mark it.
So really interesting here. Again, kind of the three favorites, if I were going to pick favorites to win this race, all involved in that early caution. Finnegan, Patty, and Brian Smith. They are going to get out while staying on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's going to leave Jacob Smith up there in front. He looked, out of anybody else that's up there in the front, still left on the racetrack anyway, that wasn't involved in that wreck, is Jacob looked the strongest. So I expect him to stay out in front here if he doesn't make any mistakes, at least through stage 1. And then if these guys can get enough repairs back there with Ryan, Patty, and Finnegan, if they can get enough repairs on the cars, you know, these stage breaks are really going to help them out, bring out a couple of cautions, give them a chance to get past a few cars, come in, get some new tires, get back out there again. So we'll see. They may not be done. I might have marked off Nathan Finnegan there a little bit too soon. He may not be done yet.
Yeah, and the other thing that this kind of opens up for you, if you've got nothing to lose and you're running at the back because of an early caution, you can pull some levers on a, you know, aggressive pit strategy. And for anybody who watched the IRL NASCAR race today, I mean, SVG beat him on both. He had the superior pit strategy and the superior speed than everyone in the field. I kind of expected somebody to find a way to out strategy him, but instead they did the opposite. They picked the losing strategy, and he ended up with a 15-second lead by the end of that one. But we'll see how this plays out. I think Braxton DeWeese is one of those drivers who we see run up front very often. He's up in the points and up in the playoffs here, but hungry for a win here in the postseason.
I've seen Braxton run a few different races. You're right, he's always up towards the front. I think he'll have a little luck here. You know, stay up towards the front of this race. Maybe we can see Braxton claim a win here.
Yeah, I think the last win he had was back in March at Homestead here in the Icon Cup Series.
That is quite a dry spell.
But been consistent ever since, keeping himself up in the points, up in the playoffs. And as always, he's running that Janes on Main paint scheme. We know the folks at Janes on Main are cheering on Braxton. As usually, Chris DeWeese is also cheering him on in the live chat. But a lot of playoff drivers here in the top 10. You got Jacob Smith out front, Braxton DeWeese in second. Kyle Purcell sitting there in third as well. He has come on strong here in the second half of the season, especially here in the postseason, to make sure that 01 car stays relevant. And then Chuck Van Schaik is in fifth. Patrick Colby, last week's winner, in sixth. He's the only driver with truly nothing to lose, as he has stamped his ticket to the round of 4 with that victory. So watch out. Kind of all of these drivers at this point in the season, this is what it's all about. Nobody's playing a long game or a safe game at this point. I think it's all about trying to get a victory here at the Roval.
Yeah, even if you're locked in or not locked in the playoffs, as a racer, you just want to be out there and you want to win. So I think we're going to see everybody charging to the front. We got everybody back on the racetrack.
And there they go. Smith with a phenomenal jump there. Early Brzezowski over the curbs a little bit. That's going to let DeWeese move into second.
Brzezowski going to make a nice move up around Kyle Purcell, back up into third in that 77 car. And it looks like we're a little side. They got ourselves maybe a little sideways back there in the back somewhere. Must have been that 74 there, Sean Purcell. He's kind of got a freight train going past him. And look at Finnegan already. Finnegan already back up to 11th. Back up to 9th.
Yeah, we can see that. The damage that was on the hood of the 6 car is all fixed up. And he's ready to rock as he works on the rear bumper of the 38. That's Cody Neal in 8th. Big lock up there.
Cars.
Yeah, it was the 74 of Sean Purcell. Locked him up coming in to the turn before they head out onto the big banked turns. Lost a handful of positions.
Brian Smith was right up alongside him. Fortunate that Purcell didn't go around right there and Brian get collected in another incident.
And there the 01 locks it up. The 74 also misses the rear chicane. A lot of issues there for the Purcells on this lap, as they are now back in 12th and 13th. Now Finnegan locking them up.
Finnegan across the berm right there. He's going to go back a few spots.
Yeah, this Roval track is so easy to just kind of overcook.
See Smith getting loose right there again off of turn 1 as well. You know, the thing with Finnegan, he knows he's fast. He qualified on the pole. He's been fast at every single road course all year long. But you find yourself in the back, and it's sometimes it's hard to be patient. You know you've got the pace. You know you're a little faster than some of these guys in front of you. But he just needs to be a little bit patient. He's got a lot of race left as he works his way around the 32 car of Cody Eldred, following Brian Smith back up through the pack after a couple more mistakes there from Finnegan.
Yeah, I think if I'm a crew chief for any of these drivers that were caught up in that early caution, just remind them this was a long race. There's 2 stages. You're going to have a chance to get some track position back. You don't need to do it all right now, but up front, Jacob Smith is just running away with it. Almost 2 seconds over Braxton DeWeese. And you can see right here, the front 3 are almost a racetrack away from 4th place. Chuck Van Schaik, it's 7 seconds from the leader back to 4th place. Almost 2 races completely separate at this point. As Patty gets around Colby.
It looks like Finnegan made his way right back around Brian Smith as well, and around Patrick Colby.
And there's still visible damage on the 30. We're going to jump on board with the 6 of Nathan Finnegan.
He gets loose a little bit off the corner, has to chase it off the racetrack. That opens the inside door for Finnegan to get by.
He takes 6th place away.
Now watch this corner right here. This getting into this turn number 7 and 8 right here. This is a tough corner. Get slowed down enough as you made your way through that complex, trying to push through, get your rhythm going. And you can see Finnegan actually gets a little bit loose off there as well. So you want to carry as much momentum as you can up onto the banking. But it's really easy to mess up that corner if you get on the throttle too hard.
And that is a new turn if you've raced the Roval in the past. Both NASCAR and iRacing updating those turns. I think it's 7 and 8 there right before you come back out onto the big track. That used to be more of a sweeping left-hander as you came down the hill, and now it's more of a hairpin. You've really got to line it up and hit your marks to get speed as you head onto the track. And Van Schaik and Neal going toe-to-toe. That's for 5th place. We'll make that 4th place.
Yeah, Van Schaik's been pretty consistent on the road courses as well. He's got 3 top 10s out of the 4 road course events early on in the season for Icon. So expect him to kind of stay up here. He's got good pace, but he has got his hands full right now with Cody Neal right there on his back bumper, and Finnegan lurking as well. If he sees back there in the mirror, he sees Finnegan coming.
Go ahead and take a look at who are the fastest drivers on track. And I mean, it's pretty much the drivers up front. Jacob Smith has the fastest lap all night with 122.88.
Oh, nice move right there from the 38 of Cody Neal to get underneath Van Schaik. Took advantage of Van Schaik getting in that corner a little too shallow, cut back underneath him. Nice move by the 38.
We'll see if the 23 has anything to say about it getting into the chicane. Oh, a little bit of contact with Finnegan. And now the 23 going to give up 2 positions on entry, both Finnegan and Patty. Now he's got Brian Smith in his mirror.
Yeah, I think what happened right there is really easy. He got down to that corner. You're trying to get on the brakes hard, not too hard. And I think he got on it just a little bit too hard getting into that chicane, and that broke the rear tires loose and just got the car a little bit sideways. And just a little bit of contact there with Finnegan.
So Van Schaik back to 8th. Battle starting to heat up for a second between Braxton Deweese and Nathan Brzezowski. And looking at the fastest cars on track, Brzezowski is the fastest car that last lap around, and Deweese is the 2nd fastest. So this is where the fight is. A little bit of contact. 77 though goes wide there, getting back onto the banked turns, loses some ground to Deweese.
I think Brzezowski carrying better pace through turn 7 right there. Did not expect Deweese to hit the brakes near as hard as he did. Just runs right in the back of him, but unfortunately, no harm, no foul right there. We're still clean and green.
As we're now 9 laps into this thing, we'll take a look at the biggest gainers of the race. And Brzezowski and Deweese, they're the fastest cars on track. They're also the cars that have gained the most positions from the start of the race. 4 positions gained by both of them. Patrick Colby has also gained 3 to get up to 9th. And right now, all of our playoff drivers are running in the top 10 here in the Roval 150.
Yeah, look over at the YouTube chat. We got Bismo over rooting on Brzezowski, and we got who's that? Lucas Wurtenberger saying "Free Vinny." I'm not sure.
Yeah, so for Chris, who's a new to the Icon world, there was a driver here in the Icon Cup Series. Again, from what I've been told, a mythological figure that was on pace to compete with the likes of Brian Smith and Nathan Finnegan seasons ago, but his driving style did not suit everyone in the league. He was voted out. And so we often hear a free Vinny as they claim Vinny is still in Icon jail and not allowed to race. But we usually get a couple free Vinnies in the live chat every week. Right now, Jacob Smith still out front. Braxton Deweese still in second with Brzezowski on his bumper. And then again, it's a 10-second gap from Brzezowski to Neal. there are really just a handful of drivers maintaining a winning pace at this point, and Jacob Smith is the first of them out front.
It's like Finnegan's closing up on the back of Neil back there. But like I said, it's 10 seconds. I mean, fortunately for these drivers, if they just stay clean out here, we're about, what, 5 laps left to go on the stage. And Finnegan has worked his way up and came out of the pits back in 13th. Actually, about 12th or 11th, I think he was actually when he came out of the pits. And he's working his way back to the front, nice and slowly, back up to 5th. He's going to get a caution here in just a few laps, get another set of tires on. Or will he risk staying on the tires he's on? He did pit back on lap 2.
Yeah, and Finnegan is a driver that would make me nervous if I was a playoff driver. So Nathan Finnegan, last season's champion, had a rough race in the round of 12 and then had to miss a race as well. And that
he's right there. Oh, I thought he was going around. Nice save.
I thought he was too. That was an incredible save by the 6. But yeah, so Nathan having to miss a race back in the round of 12, that eliminated him from playoff contention. So he's out here racing for trophies and nothing else.
Sometimes it's just all about the glory.
And if you're Jacob Smith or Braxton DeWeese up front, or Cody Neal or Brian, I mean, anyone in the playoffs who has to kind of balance that, I want to go for the win versus I need to have a good points day. The 6 car is someone who's out there not having to do that. And Brzezowski in the same boat. They are looking for trophies, for glory. They don't have to worry about points the same way that a lot of our playoff drivers do.
Yeah, you got it right. 8 of our top 10 drivers all in the playoffs right now. But Finnegan and Brzezowski, nothing to lose, and that's a good place to be when you got nothing to lose. You can just throw everything you got at it. And look back here at Brian Smith in the 30 car. Ryan Patty. I don't know if Patty got all that repair done. It looks like there's still a bit of damage on the front of that car, as you pointed out earlier. You can see some damage down on that lower valence down on the bottom of the front end. That may be hurting him a little bit.
Yeah, the front of that 30 car not looking too pretty at the moment, but he's going to have 2 more stages to take care of that without really losing too much track position. Again, there's only 12 cars on the track. They're all on the lead lap. Patty running in 7th, so worst case, he's going to give up 5 spots if he stays on pit road to get some repairs done.
Jacob Smith now with a 6-second advantage over second place of Nathan Brzezowski. As Brzezowski's made his way around DeWeese for that 2nd spot. They were battling a couple of laps ago, and he's starting to put a little gap on him right there pretty quickly, pulling 3 or 4 car lanes. Head down into turn number 1 and up this hill. You come over this hill right here. There's a couple through this little infield section here. There's a couple spots where you're coming up over hills, kind of blind down in front of you. So I think some of these guys are probably happy there's only like 14 cars in his field, because you get a big field of cars. You could be coming up into some traffic and coming up over those hills and not really seeing what's going on very well. It's really blind.
Yeah, I think this race really has a feel of a Formula 1 style race where it's almost like time trials against time trials. Not a lot of side-by-side racing as we get spread out, but we've got 2 cars right on top of each other right here. This is Braxton DeWeese in 3rd, battling with Nathan Brzezowski for 2nd. They're both in the top 5 on speed. They're both in the top 5 on track. I mean, they really just need to eliminate some of this 6-second gap between them and Smith, and I think they'd be competitive here. The early laps after a restart seem to really spread drivers out, and once you're in position, there's not much you can do about it.
No, it takes some of these guys a few laps just to get into a rhythm, and like Brzezowski down in the grass right there, heading into the chicane. No pass on the grass for us this time, but Charlotte, but going to come across the line down into turn number 1. DeWeese doing everything he can to hold on to the back bumper of that 77. Oh, it's going to Brzezowski around in turn 1. Saves it without any contact right there on the hill. But he has got to get moving here before Cody Neal and Brian Smith come around.
And he does. I mean, he lost a position, but miraculous to not hit the wall, not get any damage, not to lose any more positions. Great job there by the 77.
I think we overlooked something here a minute ago, Shane. It looks like Nathan Finnegan came into the pits a couple of laps ago, back on lap 12. He is now down in 12th.
Yeah, an interesting decision. And it looks like we might have had some other cars having some issues. Cody Neal showing to have possibly crashed.
I think I'm hearing in the chat, Finnegan might have also had a black flag on that pit stop as well. So we'll see if he ends up losing a lap over that.
Yeah, and you saw that right there. So Cody Neal, as he was catching up to Brzezowski, we were watching Brzezowski. Neal gets sideways and snags the wall with the back fender on that 38 car. And Bissonette also having an issue. He's running in 11th. Here a lap before. He goes around. Again, I don't think it cost him any positions because we're so spread out here, but driver's starting to lose the tires here at the end of the run.
Yeah, it's already challenging enough to come off a 7 right there.
And
such a tough transition. You're trying to get back in the throttle to get on the banking. Plus, you're coming out of that flat spot down out of the infield up onto the banking. So it's you can just see how challenging it is. We've seen numerous drivers already spin right there. You can see Finnegan, even with new tires breaking, the tire is loose right there.
And you mentioned he picked up a black flag on lap 13. We're going to go back and take a look. It's right here. So yeah, I think that's speeding on pit road. Based on where he picked that up. So he's already come in and cleared it, and that has cost him a lap. So with the stage break, just one lap to go, Finnegan's going to be the only car one lap down in the lucky dog position. He should get that lap back, but I will mention that here at the Roval, the lap is so long that the lucky dog does not always catch the field. So we'll have to keep an eye on that if Nathan Finnegan is able to snag that lucky dog and catch all the way up to the field before they go green. And there is the caution. Jacob Smith gonna take stage 1. And your stage 1 finishing order: Jacob Smith, Braxton DeWeese, Nathan Brzezowski, Cody Neal, Ryan Patty in the top 5. Then Brian Smith, Chuck Van Schaik, Kyle Purcell, Patrick Colby, and Cody Eldred, your top 10. Nathan Finnegan should have picked up the lucky dog.
If I'm Jacob Smith right now, I am really wishing there wasn't any stage breaks in this race. He had a big lead right there. He was poised to just run away with this, poised to run away with it. And but unfortunately now he's going to have to come in here and pit, let the field catch up to him. And you know, Finnegan, if he comes back from this crashing on the first corner, not just the first lap, but the first corner of the first lap, also going a lap down here, if he can somehow get himself back to the front, that'd be quite a story for Nathan Finnegan.
Absolutely. So as drivers are getting caught up here to the pace car and deciding whether or not to hit pit road, I imagine most of them are going to hit pit road to kind of reset their strategies. We're going to take our first commercial break of the night. We'll be right back here for the start of stage 2 with the Icon Cup Series at the Charlotte Roval here on SRM. Welcome back, race fans. We are here at the Charlotte Roval 150 with the Icon Cup Series on SRM here on Sunday night. We're in the middle of the round of 8 in the playoffs here for Icon. It's been all Jacob Smith so far, but right now Braxton DeWeese is out front. He did so by going no tires in the pits here at the end of stage 1. I heard a little bit of radio chatter. It might not have been on purpose, but it has gotten him the lead. Still out there, going to be ahead of Van Schaik and Brzezowski, as well as Smith. Patrick Colby. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, listen to the radio chatter. Yeah, even the other drivers questioning Braxton right there whether he did that intentionally or not. It's kind of hard to say, but I think he is going to be a sitting duck right here. We saw drivers struggling with the tires at the end of that stage. And if he's going to try to push this to the end of this second stage, I think Braxton's in trouble here. I think we're going to see him fall back through this field on that old tires.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a great experiment to jot down in your crew chief notebook. How is the 8 going to hold up on old tires versus the rest of the field on 4 fresh tires? A couple drivers took the opportunity of this pit stop to get some extended repairs done. Those drivers include Cody Neal, Nathan Finnegan, Ryan Patty, and Sean Purcell. As we take a look at our wrench wranglers here today, Ryan Patty leading the way. He's got over 5 minutes of repairs done on that 30 car after that lap 1, turn 1 incident. Brian Smith with 2.5 minutes. Nathan Finnegan over 2 minutes. And Cody Neal with almost a minute, but all of those drivers kind of literally right back to back to back, 9th through 12th. While they have not had the luck early in the race, they are setting themselves up to make a run at it towards the end, getting all those repairs done. Now the drivers coming through the backstretch chicane through NASCAR turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Braxton's got to be careful here too, getting on those old tires on the back of that car. He's got to be careful coming out of that final chicane to the green flag to the tri-oval. If he gets on the throttle a little too hard right there, spins the tires, we may see a repeat of what we saw on lap number 1. So I got my fingers crossed for Braxton here. Hopefully he's patient.
We'll see what happens here. The 8 and the 4 leading us back to green. DeWeese rocking and rolling already. Brzezowski misses the chicane. It's going to give up some time.
Up behind the leaders.
So Brzezowski, the big loser there on the restart as he misses the initial chicane on the front stretch. Has to give up some time, and in doing so has dropped all the way back to 8th.
Unfortunate Brzezowski on that start. So I think that was a little bit of a sign of what we were talking about there. DeWeese having to be a little cautious there on the start. Kind of piled up the cars just a little bit. Jacob Smith able to find a way around, but Brzezowski had to cut down through the infield on the grass through that chicane to miss the cars in front of him. And unfortunately falls back to that 8th position. But look at Charles Van Schaik finding himself up into 3rd, and last week's winner Patrick Colby. Now we got 32 car around, Cody Eldred around.
Yeah, I was just about to say something about how impressed I was that they were 3 wide through that turn, and then some cars got together. The 32 goes around. Cody Eldred now back to 12th. Jacob Smith already ahead of DeWeese and pulling away. Chuck Van Schaik in 3rd. Patrick Colby is 4th. And right away, we're just seeing this huge gap between these front runners. Really, the top 4. Then Bissonette in the 06. Brzezowski behind him, and Brian Smith, Cody Neal. They're kind of in a second pack. Ryan Patty right there with them. Still does not have all of that damage taken care of on the 30. Oh, we've got cars going around now. Kyle Purcell
06 of Bissonette
and Bissonette both involved. We'll go back and see what happened to Justin. Well, that's not.
I think you're going to see the 77 car up underneath of him here. I think it was coming off at turn 7.
Oh, no, it went around on his own. There's somebody ahead of him. I think that's Kyle Purcell. Sorry, we're jumping around a little bit here. We're trying to find the right replay. No, this looks like it's in a completely different spot on the track. A lap before, the 01 goes around on the rear chicane and Bissonette goes right around him. So let's go back to the 06 incident back on lap 21. Coming through turn 1. Hits the curb and the car just goes around. We've seen that a couple times before, but I feel like on the replay we saw a second car up in front of them sideways.
Yeah, you saw some smoke up there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but the lap before we saw Cody Eldred go around too, and I think that might have been a little contact with Eldred and Wazowski on that one as well too. So, you know, yeah, Bissonette just kind of loses it there all on his own.
But who was that other car sideways?
Seeing it there on the shot.
Let's back it up. We gotta figure this out. I can see the smoke. Is it Deweese? No.
No. Oh, it's Patrick Colby.
You're right.
I saw the Alabama. Right there in the middle of the straightaway. Just kind of going up that hill between 1 and 2 right there.
Avoids contact with the wall, loses a couple positions, and keeps it going. No harm, no foul. So we go back live. It's still Jacob Smith out front, now with a 2.5 second lead over Braxton Deweese. Then another 2.5 seconds back to Chuck Van Schaik in third. Brzezowski and Brian Smith next in line. Then Ryan Patty, Cody Neal, and that's Nathan Finnegan. So Patrick Colby has dropped back to 9th, Bissonette back to 10th. Then Cody Eldred, who we saw got turned around a lap or two ago, back in 11th, and Kyle Purcell is currently the last car on the lead lap. Sean Purcell is out, 17 laps down. So we're down to just 12 cars here in the race at the Charlotte Roval 150.
Yeah, Brian Smith with the fastest lap, the last lap around. Worked his way back up to 5th, now up to 4th as he gets around Brzezowski. That's right, Jacob Smith just setting a good pace right here, 3 seconds out in front of Braxton Deweese.
Yeah, it is Brian Smith, fastest car on the track right now by almost a half second. Sitting in 4th.
And being patient, working his way back through the field, but he feels his time is to go right now as he is working his way up, trying to get back into the podium positions, up into 3rd. He's got Charles Van Schaik right there in front of him.
And it looks like Kyle Purcell has hit pit road.
I think we're going to see Kyle Purcell out of the race. I think I heard radio chat he wanted to go to bed.
Understandable. This is a challenging course. So Jacob Smith, Jacob Smith is just rocketing away from this field. Now 4 seconds back to 2nd place.
My hat's off to Deweese right here. Did not take tires on that first stage. We're now, what, about 9 laps, 8 laps into this stage right here, and he's holding on to that 2nd position on those old tires he started on originally in this race. So Braxton doing a good job. As a matter of fact, he's got about 3 seconds back to Van Schaik. So if he can just hang on right here, get himself to the end of this stage, we got 7 to go.
Yeah, this is
really good run from Braxton right here.
It's pretty interesting. Like I said, jot this down in your crew chief notebook for later in the race. He was absolutely not competitive with the fresh tires on the 4 car. But once he made it through that first lap, it seems like the tire differential doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't seem to be. I thought it would make a much bigger difference here, to be honest with you, just as challenging as this is. But he's doing a really good job right there. I think we're going to see Braxton stay up here in his top. He's going to stay up here. Sorry, I'm chuckling. Somebody hearing in my ear. But yeah, Braxton's just doing a really good job holding on to 2nd. You can see Van Schaik and Brian Smith right there lurking in the background. But with only about a few laps left to go here at this stage, I think he's going to hang on there for that second spot.
Yeah, DeWeese doing a great job. We've got an update from Kyle Purcell. It was indeed Fruit Snacks, the cat, jumped onto his arm in the sim rig. And that was enough for him to say, well, feeling a little out of it tonight, gonna park it.
Oh, there goes Smith around the outside of Van Schaik. I think Van Schaik kind of just pulled over and let him go. So Brian made that look really easy, and it looks like Ryan Patty going to follow along on the inside of turn number 7. Brasowski also looking to come along, join the party there. It's Van Schaik going to lose 3 spots in a matter of about 2 corners here in that 23 car. Brasowski's now going to take away that 5th spot. So Van Schaik might be the most gentleman racer out there on the racetrack right now, as he's kind of let those 3 go.
Yeah, I think he's the one playing the long game tonight, not being overly aggressive. Sitting there in 6th, in a position to get some stage points. A reminder of the point standings. Van Schaik came in 17 points below the cut line, trying to gain on Jacob Smith, Cody Neal, and Braxton DeWeese. And I mean, as they run right now, he's not going to gain any points to either of those guys. So he might be just planning to come at him here in the second half. Now just 5 to go here in stage 2.
Oh, Patty gets loose right there. That's going to let Rosowski get up alongside of him. Ryan Patty just breaking the tires loose right there as they're heading through turn 5. Now back, going to head up into 7 here, back up onto the banking one more time. We got 5 laps left to go in this stage. Patty closes back in on there to see if he can take a look to the inside. He does get a little bit of a run on the inside, but I don't know if he's going to have enough pace here as Brzezowski has the better angle coming down off the hill, down off that banking. And here comes Finnegan along with him.
Yeah, both Finnegan and Neal got around Van Schaik. He's now back to 8th. So we jump on board with the 30 of Ryan Patty, trying to track down Brzezowski.
Through 3 and 4 of the NASCAR, you're going to see just how hard it is to get into the chicane. You can carry a lot of speed to this first section, but you've really got to get on the brakes hard to make this right-hander.
And Brzezowski misses it.
He's going to lose it. He missed it. Not only did he miss it, he spun around down there in the grass. Brzezowski just get a little too hard. I think he's too busy looking in the mirror at Ryan Patty.
Well, that cost him 3 positions. We'll go back and take a look at what happened to the 77.
Here you see him just getting a little too deep right here and not be able to get the car turned. It just misses turn. Yeah, it's those turtle curves as we were talking about. Just caught that with the back of the car and turned it around. I do like those purple anodized wheels on that, though. I don't know if it looks the same on yours.
Yeah, those are sharp. Jacob Smith, though, just pulling away. Now 8 seconds back to second place, Braxton DeWeese. 11 seconds ahead of third place, Brian Smith. I'm not sure anybody's got anything for this 4-car, Chris.
You know, Brian Smith now worked his way up to 3rd. Finnegan's back up to 5th. Patty right there in 4th. They were the top 3 starters in this race. As we see, Brian Smith now going to take an early pit stop here. So is Finnegan right there behind him before the stage gets over with. But I think, as we talked earlier, Jacob Smith just does not want to see these stages. He had an 8-second lead right here. But this caution that's going to come out here in just about 3 laps is going to allow these drivers to get back up to him. And we are seeing our fastest guys earlier, at least in qualifying and the first part of the race, all making their way back to the front after that first lap incident.
Yeah, these drivers hitting pit road now. They're going to flip the stage. This is pretty standard road course protocol. You can stay out to get the stage points, or you can pit about 3 laps before the stage so that you can stay out at the stage end and assume the lead. And it looks like Brian Smith is going to be the car in position to do that, as Jacob Smith, Braxton DeWeese, Cody Neal still out there. Ryan Patty has also elected to stay out, and he is right on the bumper of the 38 of Cody Neal.
Take a look to the outside, not where you want to be going to the chicane, but he's going to look to the inside right here. Backs off, thinks a bit of it, backs off a little bit. Actually cost him quite a bit of ground coming through that chicane back up into turn. I think it's just a big turn 9, but it's basically turn 3 of the NASCAR track. Yeah, just see how bad just that one little mistake right there through that back straightaway chicane just cost him so much ground on Neal.
Yeah, and that can be tough. I mean, lap after lap, you kind of get used to certain brake markers. You're waiting for a sign. You're waiting for a fan in the stands with a certain T-shirt, and you know when they go by, you hit the brake. But when you get up on someone's bumper like that, you kind of lose perspective. You can't see your brake markers like you usually would, and it looked like Patty just overcooked it into the entry of the chicane. Had to lift on exit as Cody Neal pulled back away from him. Neal is in third, Patty in fourth. 2 laps to go here in stage 2.
Yeah, Jacob Smith looking to take back-to-back stages here. I don't really think that's going to help him much. He's in the playoff. I think he just wants to win this race. I'm not sure how the points work out for the stages, but I think Jacob Smith just wants to win this race, and he's going to have to, unfortunately, by the time he comes in and pits right now, I think he's going to find himself behind the 78 and the 6. And probably the 77 as well. We'll see how this shakes out here, but Jacob Smith definitely going to take the win here in stage 2 as long as he doesn't run out of talent, as we like to say.
Yeah, I mean, anytime stage points are always guaranteed, right? If you're out front and the stage is ending, that's 10 points. The end of the race is not guaranteed. So I think anytime you're in a playoff scenario, taking the stage points is not a bad idea. It's a little conservative. But I think Brian Smith is in position where he has enough points not to worry about it. Colby was the other driver who's locked in. He could afford to flip the stage here. But Smith, Deweese, Neal, Patty, they're all here to grab some points on lap 30. Jump on board with our leader. Just out for a Sunday stroll. All the way down to second gear here in the backstretch chicane. And smooth as butter. I should have rode
along with these guys before I tried to make a lap earlier. That would have helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I came home with a podium finish in my league about a month ago here at the Roval. And right there, as you see, Smith is in what seems like the grass. It's actually not grass. It is turf. And there is some grip to be had without an incident point or a penalty by Iracing. If you can get that left tire into that kind of AstroTurf, there is grip there under braking. And there comes our stage caution. It's going to be Jacob Smith winning that one. Following him on through the top 10, going to be Deweese, Neal, Patty, Van Schaik, Bissonette, Colby, Brian Smith, Finnegan, and Brzezowski. Your top 10. As we have just 11 cars still in the race. And as these drivers get sorted out and back to pit road, we're going to take our next commercial break of the night. Be right back for the start of stage 3 here in the Roval 150 for the Icon Cup Series on Sim Racing Media. And welcome back, race fans, to the Icon Cup Series at the Charlotte Roval 150 here on SRM. We are coming back to take the green flag for Stage 3. It's been a pretty exciting race so far. We had some big incidents on lap 1 that really shook up the field, but as far as the race goes, it's 65 laps total. We're about 34 laps in the books. We've just finished stages at lap 15 and lap 30. Drivers started with 5 additional sets of tires, although I'm not sure they've come close to using all 5 of them. And the fuel window, this is where this comes into play now, about 21 to 23 laps. The first 2 stages were both 15 laps, so fuel was not an issue. But here at the end of the race, it's going to be about 31 laps to finish us up. And fuel is going to be a big part of that. How are drivers going to split this stage so that they make it to the end and maybe take tires, maybe not? We saw Braxton DeWeese stay out on old tires there at the end of stage 2, and he held on to second place, although he was not necessarily competitive with our leader Jacob Smith. But as this pit cycle has phased out, we had 3 drivers stay out on track: Brian Smith, Nathan Brzezowski, and Nathan Finnegan. All stayed out by flipping the stage. They pitted about 3 laps before the stage ended. That was about 7 laps ago from now. And while that gave them the lead, those drivers on even fresher tires are already taking them back. So Finnegan has dropped back to 5th. Brian Smith and Brzezowski are still out front. We'll just see how long it takes Jacob Smith to track them down. He's been pretty much the fastest car all night long, led the most laps. 33 of them, in fact. And now he is trying to track down Nathan Brzezowski for second, as Brian Smith is the leader out front. Again, using that stage flip pit strategy to assume the lead. And it's all going to come down to how they split this one out.
Yeah, a whole new race right now. Jacob Smith has led almost every lap of this race, won the first 2 stages, but Finnegan and Brian Smith, like you said, flipped the stage right there. Finnegan started this in 3rd, but lost a little ground there going through the turns 5 and 6 earlier, through 4 and 5 actually. That previous lap, Jacob Smith stuck his nose up underneath Finnegan. Finnegan kind of gave him some room on the inside, but unfortunately ran out into the grass. That cost him a few spots, falling back to 5th right now. And if we look up towards the front, Jacob Smith has worked his way back up to 2nd, made his way around Brzezowski, around Finnegan. He has his sights set on his team, his Buddy Motorsports teammate Brian Smith. Brian just got a huge jump. I mean, he's already almost 3.5 seconds out in the lead.
And we've seen that lead with clean air be beneficial for every driver so far. That's mostly been Jacob Smith, though. As you look at his lap chart, he got out front early and stayed there for 33 laps. This is the first time he's been back in traffic, not in the lead. He's already passed a handful of cars on these first few laps of the final stage. Further on back, Nathan Finnegan, another car caught up in that lap 1 wreck, working on Cody Neal with Braxton DeWeese right behind him.
That's been quite an adventure for Finnegan today, involved in that first corner.
Oh, 2 cars hard into the wall.
Look like Van Schaik and Ryan Patty. Not sure what started that, but both of them end up head on into the wall coming off at turn 15.
We're going to take a look at that one. So as they're coming down off turn 4, Van Schaik out front. Ryan Patty pretty far back right here and just gets a great jump into the turn and then loses it.
Patty just goes in way too deep. I don't know if he just completely missed the corner right there. Collects Van Schaik.
Oh, and then both of these drivers back up into traffic. Luckily, Eldrin Bissonette and others able to avoid it. And then Van Schaik and Patty get going again, but that is rough
Patty
contact.
Come out of nowhere. He was a good 10-15 car lengths back and just closed that gap up to get heading into turn 14. Not sure what happened there with him, but unfortunately some more contact there for Patty. Patty's been involved in a couple incidents today. Still some damage on the front of the car there as we stay green.
A good
Yeah, we were talking
three-car
about
battle here for 7th.
Yeah, the 06 of Justin Bissonette, who's obviously had his sense of adventures today, spinning around a couple of times. He's got last week's winner, Patrick Colby, all over the back of him, and the 32 of Cody Eldred, who's also been around at least once today. So still hanging on back here. It's a good battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th.
"28 laps remain here in the race at the Roval. And we have just now 11 cars still on track. It has been a gauntlet.
And Smith's made his way to the point. Buddy Motorsports teammate Jacob Smith right there behind him, but still 3 seconds. Jacob's actually made up a little bit of ground here once he got cleared of Brzezowski. He's made up about a half a second now on his teammate, and I'm not sure if that's the difference in tires by about 5 laps or not, but Jacob Smith's starting to reel in Brian here.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Lap 36, Brian Smith, the leader, actually turned the fastest lap of the whole race, a 122.283. And then the next lap after that, Jacob Smith gained 4/10 on him. We'll see what comes in here on lap 38.
Brian in the wall right there. He's awful close to it if he wasn't.
They're pretty much dead even that lap with a 3-second gap. So this is going to be the race we keep our eyes on, especially if these drivers decide to come to pit road at different times. Maybe enter even different tire strategies. Now, if you're someone like Brzezowski or Deweese, Brzezowski is back, about 6 seconds behind the leader. Deweese, 9 seconds. These are two drivers who might be in a position to go fuel only, try to stretch those tires. We saw Deweese do it already earlier in the race. On the restart heading into stage 2, he held on to second for that entire stage.
Yeah, Deweese went about 30 some odd laps on that first set of tires, but he did have kind of a long caution to start the race there with that first lap incident. Then he had the caution laps at the stage 2, so he probably ran, I'm guessing, about 22 to 23 laps on those tires, held up pretty well. So we'll see. I think it's, if they want to have a chance to win this race, I think fuel only is going to be their only shot. As you can see, Finnegan now working his way back up on the back of Deweese here as well. And we were talking earlier, kind of Finnegan's adventures today. Crash on lap 1, decides to pit early in stage 1, gets a black flag, has to come back in, loses a lap, gets the lucky dog, comes back out. Involved in a couple more beating and banging here and there, but it's working his way back up through the field. Started on the poles, back up to 5th. And we're going to see if he can make up any more ground here. But I really thought Finnegan would work his way back to the point before it was over with, but I'm not so sure about that now.
And looking back through the log, it looks like Brzezowski might have had an issue 2 laps ago. Let me go back and check on that. Oh, he just clips the grass. Maybe gets off track. Doesn't look too bad.
Just slow. I don't know. I did a race here the other day, and it was giving me events for saying guys crashed in turn 7 when they just slowed way down. So
yeah, I think it was just that these two off tracks. So he gets off there and then gets all 4 tires off here in this left-hander. Cody Neal might have also had an issue back on lap 37. When Finnegan was... Oh, there it is. Contact with the 38 and the 6. So that's how Finnegan got up to 5th place.
Finnegan all over the back of Deweese here for that 4th spot. Yeah, I think Braxton had better pace on those little tires for some reason. He seems to be losing a little bit of ground here. The 6 car, if the 6 car Finnegan's going to have any chance to get it farther, he's got to get by Deweese here quick. He's going to look to the outside here as they come up to turn number 7. Now watch, see if Finnegan can get a run on the outside. cut back up underneath Deweese here. Now he's going to stay up on the outside, catches the wall right there. That's really going to hurt his chance of a run through the high banks right here. And you can see that did hurt him, but he's still getting some good slipstream right here from the 8 of Deweese, looking to make a run. He's going to look to the inside as they head into the chicane down here. Takes a look. I think he's got to run if he can get the car stopped in time.
You can see those brake rotors glowing too on both of those cars.
Good racing right there by both those drivers. Finnegan had a little bit better pace. Deweese saw it, gave him some space. Nice move by Finnegan. Coming down into turn number 10 into that back straightaway chicane. And he makes his way up into fourth right now. He's got the 77 of Brzezowski now in front of him. About 3 seconds out. Let's see if he can make up some ground on that 77.
Now up front, still Brian Smith though. We're going to do our team rundown now. Buddy Motorsports having a pretty good night with Brian Smith in first, Jacob Smith in second, and Cody Neal also in the top 10. All having pretty good runs. Then Nathan Brzezowski running for Adrenaline Racing in third. Finnegan out there for CCR, Collar City Racing. Cody Eldred back in 10th. Chuck Van Schaik, the lone entry for Goat Racing tonight. And Bissonette and Patty out there for ECR. That's Electric City Racing. A little bit of almost contact there with Colby. Pretty good race back here around 10th.
It's an accordion for Van Schaik. Goes a little wide right there. The 06. Going to make his way around. Bring Eldred right there with him.
And Colby out there for Dragonfly Racing. And then I actually have two drivers out of the race for Chicagoland, both Kyle and Sean Purcell in 12th and 13th. So a tough night there for those drivers.
Yeah, Kyle's not the first one I've heard having problems with his cats jumping up on his lap in the sim rig there, causing some problems. But unfortunately, Kyle's going to park it early here tonight. We take a look at Patrick Colby with Ryan Patty. Somehow Patty's still on the lead lap after a few incidents he's been in. That 30 car has been through the ringer tonight here at the Roval.
Yeah, we've seen speed out of Ryan tonight. It just seems like he could use an extra stage break or something to give him a opportunity to finish up those repairs and get back some track position that he lost earlier. Yeah, just a ton of shifting here around the Roval. Right here, Patty's in third, down to second.
Yeah, Patty's got a little bit more pace than Colby right here, but not off of 7 there. But he looked a lot better through that infield part of the racetrack. They battle back here for 9th and 10th right now. Only 11 cars left on the racetrack. Unfortunately, Charles Van Schaik finds himself back there by himself in 11th. Patty catching those curbs one more time. Heading into that that chicane there on the backstretch.
Yeah, you mentioned Van Schaik has drifted back. Looks like he might have had multiple issues here in the last lap and a half. So this is back on lap 41. Just almost gets sideways off the nose of Eldred, but keeps it under him. Then a lap later on lap 42. Kind of the same spot of the track. Just runs a little wide. No harm, no foul. And then later that lap, here into the backstretch chicane. There it is. He does get sideways and a little bit of contact from the 28 from behind. And that's what has dropped the 23 about 5 or 6 positions there in one lap. As he got sideways, drivers get around. He gets sideways again. A little bit of contact and even
Cody
more.
Neal here. I hear sorry coming through the radio from Cody O'Neill. Or Cody Neal, sorry.
Finnegan's into pit. Here with 21 to go.
Yeah, everybody has to pit at least one more time before this race is over with. Finnegan going to come in here early, see if he can get some fresh tires on, see if he can undercut some of these drivers. But it doesn't look like the new tires have really been near as much of an advantage as we thought here today. But as I say that, looking up at the front, Jacob Smith starting to make up some ground on Brian Smith as well. He's got that under 3 seconds now. It's been about 3.5 seconds for the last couple of laps, but it's down to about 2.5.
Yeah, it looks like that lap last specifically, Jacob gained 0.4, while they had kind of just been trading it back and forth a few laps before that. Yeah, fastest driver right now on the track is Jacob Smith. 0.4 faster than our leader. We'll see how that updates as they cross the line here on lap 45. Yeah, Jacob's still faster and starting to gain on Brian.
We're gonna have a battle, I think, before this is over. It's gonna take. It's just gonna who's gonna pit at the right time and make no mistakes getting in and out of the pits. You can make a 2 or 3 second mistake real easily. You see Finnegan now coming out of the pits, trying to make his way around the 32 of Cody Eldred. Try to get back up through here, get some pace going. He's on fresh tires. See if he can charge through the field. He's got the 06 of Justin Bissonette right there in front of him. Cody Neal diving down into the pits. Finnegan, those fresh tires, is just making his way, not wasting any time, making his way through these middle field markers. He's now back up to 5th, where he was when he pitted. So this could be the strategy of the race right here with Finnegan coming in, taking new tires on. He is on a charge right now.
And there goes Jacob Smith to pit road. Here on lap 46. Should be his last stop of the day.
Yeah, Jacob pitting before Brian. Brian pitted back on lap 27. Jacob on 32. But Jacob going to dive down the pits. I think maybe somebody's seeing how much pace that Finnegan's seeing out of those. He's going to come and take some tires, see if he can undercut his teammate. I'm sure we're going to see Brian coming next time around. He's going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, looking at Brzezowski's last lap versus his best lap, I mean, there's almost a 1.5 seconds fall off. Oh, Brzezowski into the grass. Keeps it straight, though.
I'm trying. Is there anybody on the racetrack that has not been involved in something? I'm thinking maybe the only person might be Jacob Smith.
Just everybody heard a crash. I couldn't see it, but I could hear the tires squealing.
Looks like Bissonette and Scheich. What I'm seeing on the screen.
Right here in turn 1, we've seen that curb catch multiple cars.
Oh,
ooh,
that was close.
whew.
Hang on to it, Bissonette. Let's do some donuts. He almost caught Cody Neal right there.
And now Brian Smith is on pit road.
That was pretty close. If you're Cody Neal, you were puckered coming around that corner. You saw the spinning car of Bissonette right there in front of you. And here comes our leader, Brian Smith. As we thought, he's going to come into the pits right now.
Yeah, so that leaves Brzezowski out front. Braxton DeWeese has also hit pit road. We got a couple fans here in the live chat pulling for the 77 tonight. Not in the playoffs, but has been competitive all night long here at the Roval. Still 18 laps to go. Brzezowski was last in 20 laps ago.
How did that shake out? So it looks like, trying to look at the interval here. Finnegan's going to be about 8 seconds behind Jacob Smith. Jacob Smith 3 seconds behind Brian Smith. So that's going to shake out once Brzezowski comes in and pit. That's going to be our top 3. 18 laps left to go. Finnegan's going to have to have about a half a second a lap to have any kind of a chance to make it up, but I think the fight's going to be down between Jacob and
Cody
Brian.
Neal is around. You can see it across the track from the backstretch. Just got on the gas too hard.
Contact. Yeah, just about every mistake we've seen, other than just a couple other incidents, of just getting on the throttle too hard, losing the back of the car. And again, that's what happens right there with Cody Neal. And it looks like we may have another issue with Bissonette one more time as well. The replay button is getting wore out tonight, my friend.
It is. It's just all over the track. So fresh off of pit road on cold tires, the 06 gets loose. Oh, head on into the wall.
I laugh at that because that reminds me my very first time ever in a race car, 16 years old, racing a street stock on a 3/8 mile dirt track. I come off a turn 4, car got sideways on me, and I snapped around, drove it head on to the wall, just like Justin Bissonette did right there. It's real easy to do.
And again, the crashes are racking up here as Neal had another incident. Or is this the one we already looked at? That's the one we already looked at, okay.
Unfortunately, both those last 2 incidents, hard contact to both those drivers, so. Rosowski pushing this. It's 11, almost a 11 and a half second lead over Brian Smith, but he's got a pit, and here he comes down to the pits right now.
And that's going to drop the lead back to the 78 of Brian Smith. But don't look now, that last lap, Jacob Smith just set the best lap record of the night with a 1:22.24. As he tries to track down the 78. 2.8 seconds between those two drivers.
Brian Smith can see Jacob back there in the rearview mirror right now. He's close enough. Just a little under 3 seconds. Jacob pushes just a little bit harder. This was his race. Led all first 30 laps of this race, 33 laps of this race, only to have to come in and pit and give up the lead. He is trying to get the lead back, and he is reeling in his teammate here, Brian Smith, here late in this race.
Yeah, ever so slightly. Still 16 laps to go. It just seems like Jacob's getting about a 10th a lap. He's going to need more than that, though, to catch Brian.
He's going to need 2 or 3 tenths of a second a lap if my math in my head is right, which normally it isn't. Jacob has looked the most consistent out there all day long. Kept his nose out of trouble. But unfortunately, it still might not get him the win unless he can find some pace right now. It's down to about 2.5 seconds now. Just gained about, I looked up at the timer, he just gained about 3 or 4 tenths of a second there. Brian must have made a mistake somewhere.
Yeah, they're battling up front, but we've also got a battle here. This is for 4th between Deweese and Brzezowski.
Where is Miamisburg, Ohio?
Yeah, I'm not the one to answer that one. I'm pretty sure it's in Ohio. And Brzezowski.
Oh, all over the back of Deweese right there. Going to give him a little of a bump right there. Did that move Deweese up the racetrack?
These two are putting on a show here for 4th place. About 19 seconds out of the lead.
Let's see how Deweese felt about that bump as they hit down into turn number 7.
Yeah, every position counts, especially here for our playoff drivers like Braxton Deweese. And now Smith has given up, Jacob Smith that has given up almost a full second to Brian on that lap. So these two kind of trading mistakes back and forth, giving up a half second and then giving a second back. And now it looks like the 23 may have had a crash. Chuck Van Schaik back on lap 50. That's 1 lap ago.
And the GOAT Lives Matter car, he has had some struggles here today. Been involved in quite a few instances. One more time, spins it around right there in turn number 7. That has been our problem corner all day long for just about every driver.
And we mentioned Jacob Smith had lost some ground to Brian. Looks like he might have gone off track about a half lap ago. Ooh, right there, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of an invisible curb right there. Didn't really look like there was one there, but he hit something that really upset the car. Shoved him off into the grass.
And that has derailed the charge that the 4 was making on the 78. Now 14 laps to go. A 4-second gap between first and second.
Yeah, 14 laps left to go in this race. Like you said, did I see some smoke up there in front on the bank, and I couldn't see who that was. As we're watching our leader, Brian Smith, there, make his way across through the tribal. One more lap, head down into turn number 1. 13 now to go in this icon race here at the Roval.
Oh, it's Patrick Colby going around. I was just going to say, here's the replay.
I think he might have went around twice on us here, because I saw smoke.
Yeah, right there at the start-finish line, gets sideways. And once those tires are heated up, it's hard to get them cooled down.
I think he gets going and spins around here in turn 1 again, too.
I'm trying to remember exactly how they put it on the broadcast earlier today. I think they said once the good is gone, it ain't coming back on the tires. But the cream of the crop really rising here at the Roval. Brian Smith, 11 wins on the season. He's out front. Jacob Smith, 3 wins on the season. He's in second. Nathan Finnegan has 5 wins in third. So these drivers know how to get it done, and they're doing it here tonight. Brzezowski still looking for his first win of the season, though, in a solid 4th place position right now. Then Deweese, he's got 1 win in 5th.
12 laps left to go right now. Time is running out for Jacob Smith if he's going to have any chance to reel Brian in here. Finnegan as well. So I think that's going to be our top 3 right now, is that somebody makes a mistake. Brian looking pretty consistent here once he's got the lead here in this last stage. I've not seen any mistakes out of the 78.
Now just 2 lead changes here through 54 laps. It's been almost entirely Jacob Smith. Then Brzezowski assumed the lead on a restart. And now Brian Smith has been out there for 19 laps led.
Yeah, Bissonnette just moves over out of the way. He knows he's got nothing right now for Brian Smith. No point in getting in the way of the 06. Just kind of moves up the racetrack there in turn 7. Jacob Smith actually lost a little bit of ground now, almost 4 seconds. Looks like about the only battle we got going on the racetrack, maybe for 4th and 5th, was Brzezowski and Deweese kind of still close to each other there. Deweese in the playoffs, he could really use that other position if he can just get by Brzezowski for 4th. 11 laps left to go. We've seen Brzezowski actually make quite a few mistakes here today. If Deweese just stays close to him, I think he's going to have a shot here somewhere. He just needs to stay within striking distance. And Brzezowski just needs to keep his nose clean if he's going to hang on to that 4th position. I don't think either one of these guys are going to move up any further than this. I think this is about their best fight they have is for 4th.
Yeah, we're on board with Deweese as they are getting around Colby, who's a lap down. And this is the closest battle for position on the track right now. Nathan Brzezowski in 4th, Braxton Deweese in 5th.
It just shows you how competitive this league is. Patrick Colby picks up the win last week at Kansas. finds himself a lap down here at the Roval. He's had some struggles here. We saw him spin around a couple of times a lap ago. But now back there in 11th. One lap down as Deweese closes in on the back bumper. Brzezowski there in that 77. Looks to get a run off. Spins the tires just a little bit. That's going to hurt him.
It's just so hard to get the gas down, and you can feel it. I mean, when you're that close to the guy in front of you, you just want to nail the throttle and go by him, and you just can't.
These cars got so much horsepower, and you come off that tight corner like that, you're in second gear, and it's just so easy to spin the tires. He made up a little bit of ground through that chicane, but lost it off the corner right there. Looks like we might have Bissonnette with a black flag. Not sure what that's about.
I think he just cut the track. Right here it is. Missed the entire chicane there on the front stretch. Got a 5-second slowdown.
Yeah. We've had a few drivers out here today that have just had their share of adventures. You know, they almost like the ride of Magic Mountain for no admission fee.
Yeah, so we're on board now with our leader, Brian Smith. Just see how he's getting around this thing. Making it look easy. I couldn't tell you what he's doing different than any other driver in the field, but other than that, his car has more grip and more speed.
Just a little better throttle control there. I think what you're seeing, just able to get through the corners, braking at the right point, shifting down, not losing any, not breaking the tires loose in the braking points, and then again not breaking the tires loose coming off the corner. We've seen so many guys lock up into the chicanes, and Brian's just getting through there pretty smoothly. We saw Jacob running about the same pace earlier. He just unfortunate on that restart back at the start of this last stage, found himself losing a couple spots and having to make his way back up there. Otherwise, I think we'd have a little bit different race up here out in front with 9 laps left to go.
And I think Jacob just had a issue where he cut the track right here, missing the front stretch chicane, the second half of it. So that is going to cost him a little bit more.
Dropping down to almost a 4-second lead right now.
Brzezowski and Deweese still battling now with Van Schaik in the mix. He's a lap down, but he's in the way.
Yeah, I don't think Van Schaik really wants to be there. We've seen him do some gentleman stuff most of the day, just kind of get out of the way. I think if he had his choice, he would not have been on the inside of 7 right there.
Now Bissonnette crashed again. Cody Neal as well. We've got a couple drivers off. Let's see what happened to Justin first.
That car is beat up about every corner of it.
Ooh,
just
yeah.
locks up into the chicane again. We've seen that a couple times today.
And then Cody Neal.
Right here in turn 7 and 8 again, it looks like. Same problem we've seen. Yep. That tight hairpin is just a handful.
And drivers have so much rear brake dialed into these cars to help it rotate in the long sweeping turns, but then you get to a hairpin like that one, and it's just a little too much on the rear tires. They lock up and that car spins right around. So Brzezowski has been holding on to this 4th position. Deweese has been hammering him the last couple laps. Brzezowski just able to weave his way through lap traffic and hold on to 4th. As the laps are winding down, 8 to go now here in Charlotte.
Yeah, Brian Smith stretching that lead out a little bit more, about 4.5 seconds now. Look at Brzezowski and Deweese. So let's see if Deweese can find a way around here. He's been pretty patient. He's staying right on that back bumper like we said a few laps ago. He's got to stay right there to have a chance. He's got a good run through here, turn 9 or 1 and 2, whatever you want to call it. down into the excuse me, down the last quarter into the turns 14 and 15. I got a little confused where I was on the racetrack there for a second. One chicane leads to another. Is that a song?
You certainly get turned around here. And if you're wondering, like, why haven't these guys been able to make the pass? Well, DeWeese and Brzezowski, over the last 5 laps, have only been about 6/100ths of a second difference in their lap times. So this is a fantastic battle. Not at the front, but here for 4th as the race is closing down. Fastest drivers on track. In order are 1, 2, 3 positions: Brian Smith, Jacob Smith, and Nathan Finnegan. But
I keep telling these guys, if they want camera time, they just need to stay close to everybody and not just run off in the lead like that. So, DeWeese with a nice exit off of 8. Brzezowski shuts the door on him. Pretty aggressively shutting the door on DeWeese right there.
yeah, and I think our second place driver, Jacob Smith, has had another issue. We'll jump back to this battle in just a second.
Here we are through 7 and 8 again one more time.
Oh, he actually had it when he got back on the throttle, but that's the smallest crash I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Ryan Patty also with an issue. Coming into the front stretch chicane. Gets sideways, and then those turtles make it even worse.
So look at this battle. 6 laps left to go. DeWeese has 6 more laps here to find a way around Brzezowski, but Brzezowski's been defending that pretty aggressively here. Let's see if DeWeese can find a line. So he appears to be having a little better pace right now, at least more consistent anyway. He's got 1 more shot coming off of 7.
And DeWeese does have fresher tires. It's only 2 laps difference, though. Takes a look to the inside.
Little contact there, but they gets a good run off, and they're side by side up onto the banking, heading down the back straightaway to get that chicane. DeWeese has the spot. Brzezowski can try to cross back underneath him. I'm going to have the inside line head into the chicane back there. He's going to take that spot back away. They're still side by side.
This is amazing. Door to door, beating and banging. DeWeese takes it away. Now up to 4th.
DeWeese just needs to get some separation, and he did right there pretty quickly, about 5 or 6 car lengths back to Brzezowski now. See if he can get away from that 77 car. Got 5 laps left to go to hold on to 4th. Brzezowski might have caught the wall a little bit right there in the trial, but trying to take a look back to the inside of the number 8. Up the hill through turns 3 and 4 now. Make this right-hander here. Trying to close up on the back of Braxton DeWeese for that number 4 spot. Trying to get it back. He lost it a lap ago. There's a little bit of ground coming through turn 6 right there, but going to make up some more ground into 7. Let's see if he tries to do the same thing Braxton did. He's going to take a look to the inside. But spins the tires and lets Braxton get away from him.
While we were on board there, Patrick Colby has had an issue.
Not again. I think he's got the wrong impression of the term roll tide.
Yeah, again, just another driver just getting a little bit sideways, getting on the throttle too fast there. Heading into NASCAR turns 1 and 2.
Put a little gap right here, at least hold on to that 4 spot. It's about the closest battle we have on the racetrack for anybody in the top 5.
Yeah, so as we run through the field, it's going to still Brian Smith out front with a 6-second lead. He's been as low as 12th, but been in the lead most of the last 30 laps, has led 27 so far. Second place is Jacob Smith. He led most of the laps early in the race, 33 of them in fact. But right now is relegated to second. Then in third, it's Nathan Finnegan. Started out front with a lap 1 incident, made his way back as high as 3rd.
That is not a good looking graph right there.
Yeah, it's been a rough night for the 6th.
It's been a roller coaster.
Then in 4th, it's Braxton Deweese. I'm not sure. He hasn't dropped lower than 6th all night, but has not quite gotten to the lead either. Going to be a solid points race tonight for Braxton, one of our playoff drivers. Then behind him in 5th, Nathan Brzezowski. Kind of the same story. Running in the top 5 most of the night. Had an issue here and there, and then came back into the top 5. He's running 5th right now. Cody Neal is in 6th, right as he's having a little bit of a lockup. Currently in 6th. He's been up and down through the top 10 all night. Hasn't dropped below 10th, though. Ryan Patty with maybe the roughest night of all the drivers still on the lead lap. He is the last driver on the lead lap. A lot of repairs done to that 30 car. And he's still out there driving. He's got about 17 seconds between him and the next position, but doing his best. Cody Eldred is the first car 1 lap down at the moment in 8th. And he has struggled to break into the top 5 all night. Had some repairs done in the middle of the race as well. Chuck Van Schaik heading in the wrong direction. He had made it as high as 3rd back in stage 2 and is now riding in 9th, almost back to where he started in 8th. Justin Bissonette, kind of a similar story, just been bouncing around between 5th and 12th most of the night, in 10th right now with just 2 laps to go. Patrick Colby having a rough one. Last week's winner, though, so he is safe on points and into the next round of the playoffs, no sweat. But currently running in 11th. Not the race he was looking for. He is the last car 1 lap down. And actually the last car that is still out on track. Kyle and Sean Purcell both out of this one. Those were the 13 cars that started the race.
Yeah, I think the majority of these drivers here tonight are just going to be happy to see the hauler get out of Charlotte and get headed on to the next racetrack, because it's been a rough night for the majority of guys out here right now. But Brian Smith, about a lap and a half left to go, finds his way through the chicane on the back straightaway one more time, looking to pick up win number 12 on the season. With about almost a 5.5 second lead over his Buddy Motorsports teammate Jacob Smith.
And there it is, white flag. Almost a 6-second lead back to his teammate Jacob Smith. Buddy Motorsports running 1-2 here on the final lap of the Roval 150. And again, Brian Smith making it look easy, smooth as butter out there on the track.
This camera view, I know what a bug feels like now. Come through turn number 7 one more time. Everybody already giving Brian congratulations on the win. There's still about a half a lap left to go. Jacobs was back there in second. Finnegan's done a good job. Brian and Nathan both involved in that first lap incident. We kind of expected them to both make their way back to the front, and they did just that.
Out of
Brian
the
going to come to the... Go ahead.
Oh, just to say, out of the front stretch chicane for the final time. 78 takes the win. His 12th victory of the season. Stamping his ticket into the round of 4. He was probably going to clinch on points even without the win, but this leaves no doubt in the competitor's mind. This 78 going to be the car to beat as we head into the final stages of the playoffs for the Icon Cup Series. Nathan Finnegan brings it home 3rd. And Jacob Smith 2nd. And that's going to be your podium. 2 Buddy Motorsports cars ahead of Finnegan. 2 of these drivers involved in a first lap wreck, rebounding, making repairs, coming back to finish on the podium here at the Roval.
Great race for our first Icon race together, Shane. It's just I think we saw a little bit of everything today. I think we saw just about everything but a car upside down before it was over. The cars around, cars piled up, first lap incident here and there. But once you said at one point during the race, a cream always rises to stop. Brian, Jacob, and Nathan all found their way to the front before it was over with. And congratulations to Brian Smith on win number 12 on the season.
Yeah, pretty incredible for that 78 car. As he comes back to the front stretch to do some celebrating. Here in race 2, the round of 8.
Yeah, Brian Smith's going to show his prowess at donuts here. Teammate Jacob Smith right there behind him, but I've covered a couple races here this year where some guys struggled getting they need to take some lessons here from Brian and Jacob. Both are doing some good burnouts here on the front straightaway here at the Roval.
It is one of those things where if you don't get enough practice, it is a little bit harder than it looks. But teammates here celebrating together, Brian and Jacob Smith.
Next weekend's going to be Vegas. That'll be interesting as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic race today. We didn't quite have the car count we expected, but, 14 cars out here, or 13 cars actually started the race, and they put on a heck of a show here for us today. We saw, just like we said earlier, just a little bit of everything.
And with that, we're going to pull our podium drivers up into the booth for an interview. We're going to start with Nathan Finnegan in the number 6 for you, Chris. Nathan, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, Nathan, Chris Murphy here in the booth with Shane Cochran. Hey, man, you started out on the pole. Looked like it was going to be a good day for you, but turn 1 just did not work out very well. Can you give us a little idea what happened down there?
Yeah, just definitely caught way too much of the curb in turn 1 on the inside lane, and in all honesty, didn't run a race here all week. Just did some practice sessions and things of that nature, so wasn't too familiar with how that was going to shake out, and went worse than expected, needless to say. Feel worse for our teammate Ryan in the 30 car, who really took the brunt of that, and it's been a rough month plus, needless to say, for the 6 machine, but all things considered, a P3, and on to our next race next week. So hopefully we can take the good momentum and kind of keep it going and clean it up a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a venture out there for you, David. You mentioned next week's Vegas. How do you feel about the 6 car at Las Vegas next week?
Yeah, I like the intermediates. Vegas definitely isn't one of my favorites, but I'm curious to see how it'll race with the new tire model, and since the update with Iracing. So with the dirty air now being a much bigger factor, I'm kind of hoping it'll actually really open it up to multi-groove like you see at real life when they go there. So if you can run 2-3 lanes there, I think it could end up being actually a really, really fun race. So we'll see how it shakes out, and hopefully we can get a solid finish.
Well, I got to give you a lot of credit there, Nathan. You got involved in that first lap incident. You had pace coming in. You had to start that race feeling pretty good, but unfortunately it didn't go well to start. Then you got a black flag for speeding in the pits, and then involved in a couple other little incidents. A lot of guys would have just parked it for the day, but you hung on out there, got back up to 3rd. Before we let you out of here, do you have anybody you want to give any thanks to?
Yeah, big shout out to the 78 and the 4, Brian and Jake. They were really, really fast tonight. Big shout out to the 38. I'm not sure. I got to go back and watch it, but I felt like he turned across my nose there in the little short shoot going into the infield section there. Like I said, I got to go back and watch that replay. But everybody had a lot of good pace tonight. Definitely a competitive field. It was fun, and yeah, I do enjoy the occasional road course. I wish we were running on the oval here instead of the road course, especially with how good this car runs here now. But yeah, big shout out to the CCR, ECR guys, my parents for tuning in, and my wife. And yeah, appreciate you guys, what you guys do each and every week for us.
Well, thanks again. Hope good luck for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
And that was Nathan Finnegan. Next up, going to be the 4 car of Jacob Smith. Jacob, you got a copy?
Yep, I got you guys.
All right. Well, I mean, we saw you dominate early, and then the 78 kind of run away with it at the end. Walk us through your night.
Yeah, it was just a bit of strategy beforehand. Brian and I talked about it. I think points wise, I was just going to go for stage wins, but in hindsight, probably shouldn't have given Brian the win there. It was his birthday. I told him I figured I'd give him the win there as long as I can get those stage wins. So I don't know. Not the best result here, given we needed a must win there almost to get into the playoffs. And early yellow flag definitely helped Brian out. Got all of his damage fixed. Nathan got all of his damage fixed. Ryan Patty got all of his damage fixed. So little mishap there on the race control, and I think that just made a huge implication on the playoffs. So yeah, happy for Brian. Glad he got the win there, but yeah, still decently happy with his second.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure you're quite in a must-win, but yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of the playoffs. Every position counts, whether it's a stage position or end of race. And I've been in this position myself where you're in a must-win situation and your teammate is the one kind of taking that win away from you. I know it's rough, but you got back up to second there and held on. You never dropped out of, I think, 4th. I don't think you got any lower than 4th all night. So a really impressive run here at the Roval. This track looked so technical. At any point were you thinking about doing a fuel only or a 2-tire or kind of shaking it up like that?
No, I think once I restarted 4th and had to get by both Nathans, I saw Brian was pretty much 3 seconds ahead. That gap kind of just stayed until I decided to pit. I knew that pretty much 15 laps in, this thing was going to be 4 tires. If I just put none on, it was going to be too out of control. So sadly, nothing to do there to switch up on the strategy side. But yeah, we'll see what happens at Vegas next week. I know just had to get those stage wins. I think I'm still maybe just under Braxton. I mean, he had a great run, finished second in both stages and finished 4th. So good points day for him too. So we'll see how Vegas goes. And yeah, like I said, good win for Brian. Just sucks with the race control and this being the playoffs for that to happen.
Yeah, definitely feel that. I mean, I feel like the silver lining here is that Brian was probably going to clinch on points anyway, so he didn't necessarily steal a position out of the round of 4 from you. So you still got a shot from that standpoint. But congratulations again on the podium finish, P2 here at the Roval. We'll see you again next week at Vegas. Anybody else you want to thank before we get you out of here?
Yeah, just glad to get this Midwest Euro Parts Ford Mustang back on the podium. Been a couple weeks, so terrible run at Kansas. Just glad we got a good finish here. So shout out to Brian and Cody showing up tonight. Both had good runs. So yeah, we'll see how next week goes at Vegas.
All right, Jacob. We'll see you out there next week. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
And then last but not least, the 78 car of Brian Smith for you, Chris. Brian, you got a copy out there.
I got you.
Hey, Brian, Chris Murphy here, and Shane Cochran in the booth. Hey, buddy, we didn't want to write you off there early, but you look good. You qualified 3rd. You get yourself wrapped up in that first corner incident. Did you think you were going to be able to find your way back to the front after that?
No, I did not. I didn't think I had the pace, even if, I had a clean car. And then my steering was off. I had wheel damage, and every fender was bent up on it. So I thought I was done. But this next gen car is a tank. Got her fixed up. Had over 3 minutes of damage, and looked a little scuffed up on the front end there at the end of the race. Now that I'm looking at the replay, but it felt good at the end, and just needed that to get that track position. Luckily, Jacob did not short pit the final stage, and I did. And as soon as I did that, I was starting to feel pretty good. I felt like I had a fast car, but I was stuck in the middle of the pack, so I couldn't really show it. So I figured I'd roll the dice and try and get the track position. And sure enough, the clean air, and just got to putting in the laps and felt really good and got it done.
Yeah, the tough thing is when I mean, 12th win of the season this year. You definitely had the pace tonight, and that's a tough thing to do when you find yourself in the back of the field with that much pace. To have the patience to come through the field, not just charge your way through there, but at any point as you're coming back up from the back after having to pit, any moments that were a little sketchy, any moments that just about caught you out?
Everyone was super respectful. There were a couple times I banged fenders with, different cars. It was nothing egregious. It was just, especially in that hairpin, whatever turn number that is, that hairpin going on to NASCAR 1, just slamming indoors and trying to get the bottom and keep your position, because it's really hard to pass on this track. This is definitely not one of my favorite road courses. I think it's a shame we actually race here, but yeah, nothing crazy. Everyone does such a good job in this league of racing clean that I was never worried about anyone, driving over their head or wrecking. I just told all the guys on my team, Jacob and Cody, take it super easy on restarts into turn one. I think I had Cody behind me on the start, and I was like, hey man, look, I am gonna be way off Finnegan's bumper because I just don't know what's gonna happen. And sure enough, all chaos broke out. But like I said, just everyone does a good job and stayed out of trouble aside from that and got it done.
Well, that's the 5th road course race this year for Icon Series. You got 4 wins there.
Oh, don't remind me. I wanted all 5. I really did. Finnegan's win at Chicago just lives rent free in my head.
Yeah, well, you're looking pretty strong there. It's going to give you a spot into the Final Four. Come into Vegas next week. How you feeling about your chance out in the desert?
I sure love Vegas. Any mile and a half with multi-groove is just so much fun. So I've had success there in the past. Hopefully we can keep that going. Hopefully Cody and Jacob get in the Final Four with me as a team. We could get 3 cars in there. That'd be awesome. I think it might be tricky. I have no idea what the points are after this race, but that's the goal. So we'll just have to tune in next week and see what happens.
All right. Well, right before we get you out of here, you have anybody else you want to give some thanks to, Brian? Congrats again on another win.
Thank you to you guys for doing the broadcast. They're always fun to go back and watch. You guys do such a good job, and shout out to everyone on track. Like always, this league just does such a good job with good, clean, hard racing, and it's hard to find a league like that. So that's why I run it. Run it with my friends, and it's always fun. So yeah, thanks to everyone on track and my teammates, and it was a good night.
Well, congrats one more time, and we will see you next week at Vegas.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on SRM, the Roval 150 for the Icon Cup Series. We're going to take a final look at our race results. Again, it was Brian Smith, Jacob Smith, and Nathan Finnegan on the podium. Then Braxton Deweese, Nathan Brzezowski in 5th, Cody Neal in 6th, Ryan Patty in 7th, the last car on the lead lap, Cody Eldred, Chuck Van Schaik, Justin Bissonette, Patrick Colby, all 1 lap down. Then Kyle Purcell and Sean Purcell in 12th and 13th. And then Robert Blue and Hanover Fist and Jacob Gladelich, either they just did this to get a participation point or they were operating race control, not sure which, but that's going to be our results here tonight. Any other closing thoughts before we wrap this one up, Chris?
Like we said earlier, I think we saw just about everything tonight. Just an exciting night here at the Roval. Looking forward to the rest of this season. We got 4 more races left to go. 1 more race in the round of 8, then we get on to the round of 4. Vegas next week. It's been an absolute pleasure being here in the booth with you tonight, Shane, and hopefully we get a chance to do it again sometime.
Yeah, this one was a blast. And we take a look at that schedule, as you just said, there's only 4 races left to go here in the season with Icon. Vegas next week to wrap up the round of 8, then Homestead, Martinsville, and Phoenix to finish out the playoffs and the entire 2025 Icon Cup Series schedule. Should be a good one, so hope you guys can tune in with us for those Sunday night races as usual. And as always, I'm Shane Cochran signing off with Chris Murphy here for Sim Racing Media. We'll hope you tune in again next week.